In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to make this flower market cupcake box using your Cricut. And if you don't already have the SVG, I will link it down in the description box below. We're going to start off by prepping our mats. I'm going to be using the green standard grip mat, and we're going to hop over into Design Space so that I can show you how to properly set up the SVGs. So once you have all of your files in Design Space, we're going to hide everything except what we need to print and cut, which is the awning and the 2 flower market and flavor signs. You're going to expand the awning layer, and then at the top of the layers panel, you're going to actually ungroup the awning layer. And then you're going to look for the layer that has all of the score lines. It's kind of hard to see, but you're going to click it and then go over to line type and hit the drop down box and then hit score. So you can see that we have all of these tiny little cut pieces, and we don't want Cricut to cut all of those pieces out. We actually want it to be a print and cut. So we're going to go down to the bottom of the layers panel and hit flatten. That's going to make it a print and cut as one layer. And because we have enough room on the print and cut, we're actually going to adjust the flower market sign and the flavor sign so that we can have everything print and cut on one sheet of paper. Now, this is really personal preference, but I'm going to be changing the size of the signs to 2.5 inches width. I just like the look of it to be a little bit smaller on the awning and on the actual walls of the cupcake box, but if you want it to be a little bigger, then you can adjust it to whatever size you want. Since we want all 3 layers to be printed and cut on one sheet of paper, we're just going to select all 3 layers. As you can see over here in the layers panel, all 3 of those layers are selected. Then you're going to come down to the bottom of the layers panel and hit attach to ensure that everything stays together. Once you hit make it, you'll see over here it's going to print first, then it's going to score, and then it's going to cut. And you'll be able to see little black lines around all of the files, and that is the registration line for our machines to read so that it's able to know exactly where to cut. So if everything looks good, you're going to hit continue, and then you're going to go to select printer. Once this box pops up, you're going to select your printer, and I like to check the add bleed lines, and then you're going to hit print. Then you're going to go to browse all materials and select the material that you're using. In this case, I'm using 80-pound cardstock, so that's what I choose. Then we're going to keep the pressure to default, and then you're going to change your scoring to either the scoring wheel or the scoring stylus, which I'm using the scoring stylus for this project. Once that's complete, then we're going to go back to our canvas and begin to work on the other pieces. So I'm going to reveal the cupcake panel too, and then select the layer that is the score lines, and then go to line type and change it to score. And then we're going to select the shape and select the score line and go to the bottom of the layers panel and hit attach. So we're basically just going to repeat what we just did. So select your materials, select your scoring stylus or scoring wheel, and hit continue. Back to the canvas and repeat the same steps that we did for the awning and we did for the cupcake panel number 2, for cupcake panel number 1, for the support, and for the cupcake holder. Working on each piece one at a time, be sure to expand the layer and then find where the score lines are, go to line type and select score. So continue to do this for all 3 pieces. And again, select all of the layers, including the score lines, and hit attach. Once again, choose your materials, choose your scoring tool, and then hit go on your machine. Like I said, I will be using the scoring stylus. So if you're using the scoring stylus, you're going to load it into clamp A on your machine. If you're using the scoring wheel, you'll actually take the blade out and be putting it into clamp B on the machine. Once you hit go, you'll see that the machine doesn't actually start cutting right away. It's going to read around those black registration lines so that it knows exactly where it needs to cut. And just a tip, if your machine isn't reading the registration lines right away, there might be too much light on in the room that you're cutting, so turn some of the lights off or try closing the lid of your machine. After the print and cut is complete, then you will load your mat with 12 by 12 cardstock like usual and hit go to score and cut as normal. Here's what all the pieces look like laid out. Panel 1, panel 2, the awning, the 2 cupcake signs, the cupcake support, and the cupcake holder. To assemble, you can use hot glue, but I like to use this Scotch tacky glue. I find that this is best for paper projects. Now we're going to carefully fold along all of the score lines on all of the pieces. This is what the folded cupcake support should look like. This is what cupcake panel 2 looks like folded. Just a tip, when you're folding the pillars of the cupcake panels, be sure to be very careful as they are pretty skinny and flimsy. If you just give them a light squeeze, they should easily fold inward. Here's how the completely folded cupcake panel 1 looks. And lastly, the folded cupcake awning. In order to assemble the awning, we're going to take some glue and add it to the white triangle and then overlap it with the black and white striped triangles on both sides. Next, we're going to take panel 2 and we're going to add some glue to the bottom tab and then attach the left wall to that tab and hold for a few seconds. Now we're going to take panel 1 and turn it towards us and then add some glue to the left tab and attach that to the left wall on panel 2. After, we're going to glue the tab of the pillar on panel 2 to the pillar of panel 1. When you're gluing, you want to make sure that you do this carefully and that you try to line them up as best as possible so that you don't get too much overlap. Next, we'll be gluing the bottom tab on panel 2 to the widest wall on panel 1 and hold just for a few seconds. Now, glue the last tab on panel 2 to the last wall on panel 1. To close up the box, we're going to glue the tab on panel 1 to the wall of panel 2, and then also repeating what we did before on the pillars of panel 2 to the pillar of panel 1. This is what the enclosed box should look like. Begin to glue the bottom tabs of the support and then flip it upside down, and in the middle of the box, place it down where you like it and then hold it for a few seconds. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try your best to place it in the middle, as this is what's going to help support the cupcake. Now insert and align the cupcake holder, and then we're going to glue all of the tabs of the cupcake holder along all 4 of the cupcake box walls. To make things easier, I'm going to glue the little flower market sign onto the awning before attaching it to the little cart box. Now, attaching the awning can be a little bit tricky, but you're going to add a little bit of glue in the corners of where the score line is for the scallops, and then you're going to take the cart box and place the pillars right in those little corners and press down until the glue is dry a little bit. You definitely want to make sure that the glue is dry a little bit, because once you go to attach it to the other side, you don't want it popping off the side that you just did. And repeat the same step that we just did with gluing the corners on the other side of the awning. Lastly, you're just going to add a little bit of glue to the cart box and then add the flavor sign. And this is how everything should look once all the pieces are glued and attached. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that this was helpful on the assembly of the Flower Market cupcake box. Again, if you don't have the SVG, I'll leave the link in the description. Also, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a like, turn on bell notifications, and if you already have the SVG, thank you so much once again. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!